or where they have affection for the teachers. So compassion while teaching, love while teaching, and it is not love for the subject alone. It is love for the students, which is very, very important. We're talking about mental health problems. All this can be taken care if the teachers teach with compassion and they start loving. So this is something that we need to do. Overall, I would say that we need to put in a lot of focus on the teachers, because they are the soul of the entire education system, or they are going to be the enablers of this new policy if we want this to come out the way it should come up, not like what happened to CCE. So because it was taken up half-heartedly. Going on to next, everybody's talking about research. Yes, that's important, but not at class 11 level or not at the college level. We should actually bring in research right from the tender age. If we bring in flipped classroom learning, that's something that's going to work. Let me give you an example. See, if I have to teach on volcanoes, so what normally a teacher would do is go start saying, okay, these are volcanoes, these are the types of volcanoes, this has happened, that happens. But instead of that, if I were to tell my students that tomorrow we are going to talk about volcanoes, and I want each one of you to get me 10 lines on volcanoes. Try to get something different from the others. The students immediately what they'll do is they'll Google it out. Unfortunately, they will not be able to find those 10 lines. They'll find 10,000 of those lines. So what they're going to do is they're going to find, filter them out and come up with their own 10 lines. Okay. And then when the students come to the class, they do a peer group discussion. So you involve these groups, because students learn more from peers than from teachers. So if that kind of thing happens, and here the teacher becomes the facilitator that everybody is talking about, right? So if these are simple things, you need not do anything. So you need to get such concepts in the classroom, and I'm sure that will work. But here, there's something very important, because after this, I'm going to talk about my field, about language teaching and things like that. But very important, we need to ensure that our students inculcate good habits or habits for reading. That's very, very, very important. Students increasingly are reading less. That's a big problem. So it is not only the teachers that we need to work on, we need to work on students. How do they get more? We talk about research. You have to put your heads down and research. You have to read, you have to look at it, you have to find it out. So that's an important part there. Now coming on to languages, nobody has touched upon this point. There's a huge disruption or change, or they have really brought in a big change in the way teaching is delivered. We start with early years, the foundation years. The policy talks about that we should teach them in the local language or in their mother tongue. Excellent thing. I welcome this step. This is very important. What is happening with our kids? On one side, they are trying to acquire a new language, and the other side, they are taught these other subjects in that same language. One, they are struggling, the other they have to find out, and that is why most kids lose their interest. But if we start teaching them the foundation or the core subjects in their mother tongue, they don't have to worry about understanding, because before the child comes to school, he also already knows how to understand, how to comprehend that particular language. So that's going to be great. The 3-language system is excellent, beautiful. One, mother tongue or the local language. Second, foreign language, that is English. And the third, classical language. We're talking about languages like Tamil or Sanskrit. Very important. If we really want to build a nation full of nationalist feelings, they should know about our heritage. So the country's heritage is through these cultural languages, and the local heritage, which is again very important, is through the local language. So that is important. We all should remember that a child till the age of 8 can acquire up to 5 languages. We are talking about only 3. Okay, our company promotes English as a language. We've recently designed a lab for Sanskrit learning, the first lab in the world, which helps students acquire or fall in love with Sanskrit as a language. Beautiful language, logical language, all that works. And one more important thing, if a child speaks 3 or more languages, the brain works better. Imagine in one sentence, logically you put in 3 languages. That is logic building. So very, very important. And what I would promote here is that this policy starts with us and it'll end with us. So we as educationists need to create that buzz and make sure that everybody in the system is a part of this journey. Thank you, Rajoji. I rest my
Yeah.
point here.
Thank you all. Thank you, Jaswinder sir. And we all agree with you, sir, that teachers are the soul of any institution. They certainly needs to get empowered, with the new age capabilities and capacities. So thank you, sir. I'll come back to you with questions. So with this, I would invite our last key speaker for this special session, Miss Michelle Amana. So Michelle, over to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here. And basically, the new education, being the youngest speaker in the forum, so I believe I'm the most recent one to graduate out of my school. So, and the most recent one to experience this. Being there, from learning ABC to learning trigonometry, I think. The questions that children have, that why right now we have the why did I learn trigonometry. So the new education policy addresses this quite well, meaning they have made that change where a student has the choice of what to learn. And they put forth these wonderful inclusion of arts, where it's not just the analytical side and the logical side of a student that's developed, but also a holistic development that happens with the inculcation of music. So we know the effects of music on individual's brain, and definitely having that in the early years of a child will benefit in a lot of ways, like refining of the gross and fine motor skills. And this is how like music, like I'm talking in perspective of music, but there has been different subjects, like the other hobbies that have had their benefits on the brain and the development of a child. So FSM very closely has been working on these lines itself, where we have developed a curriculum. We had done this is 10 years back when we were launching FSM. So we had our curriculum developed, which was closely related to the overall development of a child. So if I could just share my screen, and I'll now take you through basically what FSM has been through all these years and what we have to offer for schools. Yes. So FSM comes basically from Fatados, where the main that's the mother company. They used to sell music instruments, quality music instruments. They sell quality music instruments or pan India, and we have some branches abroad too. FSM has been since 2011, and since then we've been delivering music pan India, and we have 145 plus schools with us right now. We have 15 centers of excellence around India, and we transform basically children's life. Almost it's more than 75 right now. We are almost touching more than a lakh students that we have right now. So as I was talking about the 145 schools that we have, and I was talking about a curriculum. So basically we go down to schools, our teachers go down to schools and they teach our curriculum over there. We mainly have Western classical and Western contemporary as the subjects. And over here, our teacher goes, they teach the instruments, and they come back. So that's FSM in schools. So these are the schools that we've been associated with. These are a few schools that we've been associated with. We basically uh, teach the students, and we've seen the progress that they've had in inculcating music in the curriculum. So that's that. We have this. So in light of building the confidence of students and helping them to be more confident and be more supportive, so we just have curated these two main festivals. So Bandit is the school festival where our students they they come together, they as a band, and they perform. Cadence is for the centers, where our center students, they come together and they perform. Similarly, we have other events like piano concert, bandit, and for schools we have recitals at the end of each academic year, so that even we see, the parents are delighted to see their children perform a certain, musical instrument. As I was saying, our curriculum is one of the awarded curriculum, and we've bagged a number of awards for the structure that we've built. And so NMIMS and Berkeley, these are one of the two major tie-ups that we've had, where NMIMS, we have our students, or we have a degree where in collaboration with them, Bachelor of Performing Arts. So someone who wants to learn contemporary music and wants to make a career in music, they have NMIMS, they have this degree that they have. And Berkeley is one of the most renowned institutes in the world. And here, like singers like John Mayer have graduated from this institute. So we have a tie-up with them where our students can go up to Berkeley, and we are working on giving them credit points, and basically they can pursue their music career through Berkeley too. This is FSMN News. We've been quite popular amongst quite some news channels and papers. Now coming to our online vertical, FSM Buddy. So it's just the last year before the pandemic that we just started this, and in this it's basically everything that comes in the arts section. So the main intention of starting FSM Buddy was to have the right brain development of a child. So in that vision, we have drawing, language, we have music, speech and drama, everything that you can think under arts, dance, that comes under FSM Buddy. So this is a complete online vertical that we've started. And right now, this is the age group, and this is our social media presence that we've had. And so basically we look at our vision being universal access to quality music education. We just look at getting there and being there for every student and every individual who needs to learn music. So that's about Furtado School of Music. And yes, I'm over to you, Raju.
Thank you, Michelle, for sharing these thoughts about FSM and how music can increase their efficiency. Thank you for that. I'll come back to you with questions. Now, with this, we come to the last part of the session, the question part. We have already received many questions. So I would request all our speakers, if I may, present these questions to you all. And, before I present these questions to you, I'll just take a minute in explaining what exactly we have been doing at School Lalaji Solutions. So I'll share my screen here for a minute, and then I'll share the questions. Some of you are already aware with School Lalaji. We are India's largest one-stop solution platform for educational institutions. We are present in 42 cities, working with some around 4,500 institutions. We help institutions in three ways. We help institutions in buying right thing from right people at right price. We also help institutions in selling their old stuff, like their old buses, generators, furniture, any other old item to other institutions. We also help institutions in raising money, that may be in terms of loans or fee financing or some other ways of doing that. Why there is a need for a platform like School Lalaji? You already have a list of old suppliers, your team is expert, you believe that you're getting good discount. So why there is a need for a platform like School Lalaji? In India, we have more than 10,000 educational suppliers, in different categories. So it's very difficult for school leaders and for those, those companies to interact. And, there are many companies which has wonderful product and services, but they are not able to demonstrate their product and services to right people. So here we come into picture. We understand your school We understand your taste, we understand your budgetary limitation, and then we accordingly, connect you with the right companies. We have category experts. They interact with different companies. They understand their product in detail, and they also negotiate with them. The general reach out cost to a school is 30%. So when a product comes to you, so it has already shot up 30% cost in that reaching out process. So we eliminate the 30% cost. So we directly connect those companies with the schools. So we can we generally save a huge amount for schools. There are different areas where we help educational institutions: smart class procurement, uniform, insurance, diesel, solar plant, language labs, security solutions, furniture, recruitment, music classrooms, healthcare, robotics, STEM STEAM labs, career counseling, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational tour, generators, learning tools, and finance. And we take the guarantee that we'll save at least a 5 to 7% of your annual expenditure. Just one example, we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees for different schools in 2019 in one category, that's bus insurance. Here are some major highlights: 8 megawatt plus solar installation, 3,000 bus insurance, 400 plus smart classroom, 2,000 plus cameras, 350 plus training program, 56 old buses, and uniform. By the end of 2021, we aim to reach out to 10,000 institutions. We need your support, your guidance, your blessings. So I'll end my talk here. So I would request Shunila ma'am, if I may present the first question to you. Shunila ma'am.
Yes, please go ahead.
Right. This has come from Miss Kiran. Kiran is a PRT teacher with Gurukul International School, Bidwani. The question says, what would be the impact on this primary education? This question, I'll divide this question in two parts, ma'am. This has been a very regular question. A lot of people are apprehensive about the future of those those preschools which we have around around the country in that number. So what would happen to those schools, number one? And how much change you find in the way we teach in our primary schools? What kind of change you visualize post NEP implementation? Over to you, ma'am.
So since everything is going to come under the umbrella of the school right from the beginning, in the sense as a foundation stage, I hope I'm audible. Am I audible? Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
you are audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So as I was saying, since we have the first 3 years which have become, uh, the Anganwadi and the preschool and the Bal Vatika, so the it would be more into the school itself. So right from the beginning, the planning would be integrated into the school, which means that a whole lot of these other kind of play schools. Sorry, no, no disrespect to them because all are doing obviously a wonderful job, but some have been mushrooming all over the place and not being able to deliver the quality that is required. So this would obviously decrease to quite an extent. In fact, slowly over a period of time, with this being implemented properly, it would be under the purview of the school itself, which means they could plan all their what are the learning objectives that are required in the later stages. That is with your other 2 years, 3 years, and all that. That would be possible only because it's going to become part of the school. And in the primary years, then when you have your play, discovery, activity based, and all that interactive, it would be possible. Especially, it does happen to an extent in urban areas. But as we were talking about the others, especially the ones who are not so, I mean to say, who are not in the urban areas, they would be, it would become more structured. And even in the urban areas where there is a lot of, sometimes, it's not being utilized properly, the kind of facilities that should be given in a play school and all are not being given, that would completely come to an end. So I think that is what I feel.
Right, absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. I'll come back to you. I would request Nenwal sir, sir, if I may present this question to you.
Yeah, please.
So this question has come from Miss Sayyed Jasim ji. Sayyed ji is a teacher of TGT Science with GD Goenka Public School, Bareilly. The question says, what additional facilities and resources will be available for teachers, to cope up with the policy gap?
Okay. Indeed, I had already addressed this point in my speech or my talks before. So teachers have to undergo a lot of training sessions, for which, especially when we refer to government schools, Navodayas or the KVS or other schools run by government, So government may arrange, workshops, seminars, training sessions for the teachers so that they can compete with the NTP requirement. If these teachers merely believe in doing B.Ed courses or B.Ed degrees and going into the classrooms with this curriculum, which has been framed now, will be difficult. That gap need to be bridged only when this teacher will have continuous training sessions over the years.
मेरा नेनवल सर एक सवाल यहाँ पे, एक सप्लीमेंट्री क्वेश्चन है यहाँ पे। जो पिछले सेशंस हुए तो हमें दो तरह के थॉट्स मिले। There are many leaders who believe that schools are not interested and they are not willing to train their teachers. They are not willing to invest amount and money in teachers training. That is one way of thinking. बहुत सारे educators ने ऐसा बोला. There are a lot of in fact in just yesterday's session, Jaswinder sir was also there. One very eminent educator, he talked about that teachers are not willing to get trained. So आपके हिसाब से क्या चैलेंज है? इंस्टीट्यूशंस टीचर्स की ट्रेनिंग को इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं मानते या टीचर्स खुद ही इंटरेस्टेड नहीं होते हैं? नेनवाल सर,
See, there are two different aspects, Number one, when CBSE found it difficult, so you must have seen last 2 years, CBSE made it obligatory for schools. Even schools were enforced to pay a reasonable fees for sending their teachers for a training. And that was good gesture, And with this approx 30 to 40% teacher of public schools, especially I'm talking, they underwent this training. They learned things. And what is actually being taught by our educators, how this has to be practically implemented, could be taught through the seminars and sessions and workshops. So that efforts were made by CBSE. The other aspect is that schools do not like to send the teachers for a training. The reason is, you train a teacher for a session, you spend money on a teacher, but there is no guarantee teacher will continue with you for another 4 or 5 years. So you feel that teacher has been trained by me and some other schools are availing the facilities of the training of the teacher. So that way I think some schools are reluctant.
But सर इस वाली लाइन का आंसर जसविंदर सर देंगे कि स्कूल अगर सोचते हैं कि भाई टीचर्स को ट्रेन किया और चले गए, जसविंदर सर कहते हैं कि अगर ट्रेन नहीं किया और वो नहीं गए।
I said most of school thought like that,
Absolutely. We all agree with you.
Thought, but I am not one of them. I said I'll train my teacher here, so I aspire the teacher from other school will be also coming to me who has been already trained in that school. So by and large,
you agree with that mindset that schools don't see that teachers training is a good investment. They don't see that as it's a good investment. You agree with that, right?
No, I don't say this because it's not a good investment. If you see, you believe in training teachers at your school, So if everybody believes in the same, so this will be a good exchange also.
ये आपने संभाल लिया बात को लास्ट में right, but we got your point, sir. Thank you. Now let's invite Abhishek ji. If I may present this one to you.
Sure, Rajanji, sure.
Right, sir. This, I'll merge two questions here, sir. First is from Ms. Jyoti Mehra, again, PRT with Gurukul International. How vocational education will get implemented, with the school, and what would be the challenges? And this is a very regular question. A lot of people, a lot of participants have shared that schools are going to face a lot of challenges in finding good trainers for vocational skills. So, what's your perspective?
Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
See, I always believe that challenge is part of life, right? I will come back to the question. Just wanted to answer out of curiosity what you have asked recently to one of the speaker. I wanted to add one line over there. See, I always believe that life is a boomerang, right? If you are going to train your teachers, maybe they will move out for after 4 or 5 years. But if you are going to train teachers every year, some of the other time it will happen that these teachers are going to come back to you, or maybe your own kids they're going to learn somewhere, in other schools. So this is first thing which I always.
So we have lost your.
Jyoti Mehra madam wanted to know. Madam Jyoti Mehra wanted to know about the vocational training. See, it is very important. As one of the leader, they have said before that we are into creating job seekers. Why not we are into creating job, those who can appoint people. I always believe that the education system, what was in, we were asked to be in, was related to prepare clerks, or maybe to get ready the people, those who can work under you, or maybe those who are ready to do jobs under you. But rather than it is important, why not we them to be the entrepreneur, which is more important, and that is the entire idea of this NEP, that we are moving towards the bright future of our country. Yes, it is a challenge that how we will find the teachers, how we will, are we going to invest on these teachers or not? Yes, it truly depends on the schools as well as the management. But I truly believe that this is very important, very much required. We are going to do it.
Right. Thank you, Abhishek ji. I'll come back to you for your concluding remark. Now, I would request Dr. Goswami, Puneet ji, if I may present. I'll present the same question
Yes,
to
sure.
you, Goswami sir, that you represent higher education world. So, what are the
Yes.
solutions for schools, to find to connect that vocational education?
Yeah, first and the foremost thing which we have to do, how we can go for these vocational programs. And I always say that industry engagement is the must. And when I say this point, the reason is once you engage the industry into the schools, what actually happens is you are preparing the entrepreneurs for the tomorrow. As I have spoken in my previous talk also. So what actually happens is, and there was a question also which you quoted, Rajul ji, that if we will train the faculty, they move out. So let me take a call on it. If as a faculty, we are getting trained, and where we are moving out, so we are not training a particular faculty only. We are training the whole staff, whole teaching community who are engaging the classes in our, I say I am from the higher education sector from the university. So we ourselves, SRM University, we have engaged with the big corporates like IBM, we have TCS, we have Xavier. So what we are doing, they all are imparting this current skills, Industry 4.0, where it includes artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, blockchain, Internet of Things. Every technology we are teaching to we are training, basically we are working on the concept, train the trainers. Who are the trainers? The faculty. And what faculty? Faculty is basically they have learned the concept in the university where they have studied. But if when it comes to the practical exposure, it means they require some industry skills also, the practical exposure also. So once we are engaging the industry into it, so we are training them and ensuring them the right skill set is being transmitting to the to our students. So they are trained as per the industry standards. So even in the schools, if we are from the beginning itself, we have seen the interest of a group of students. There are 20 students who have very good potential. They can do work in the, they can be a good entrepreneur. They can work well in their own areas. So their practical training can start from the very initial stage. And when they will be trained, obviously the faculty will also be trained, and in the future we can expect more students to come like this. So this
Right.
is basically a one-to-one interaction that will happen with the industry for the practical exposure between the faculty and the
Right.
students, and finally we are come up with a big program which will help in building our nation.
Absolutely.
So this is
So
my,
you're
yes,
talking
yes,
about creating an ecosystem of training. So
yes.
that's more important. That if one or two teachers leave, or that happens, so there is an ecosystem. Thank you, Dr. Goswami, for that. Jaswinder sir, there is a question from in the chat box. So Homi Esteban ma'am has written here. What about Hindi as a national language? So you come from that world of languages. So I'll divide my question in two parts. One, the straight question. This one, what about Hindi as a national language? What are your comments? And how do you see the future of English as a language? Are we going to see a decline in the importance of English? What are your assessment?
Yeah, thank you, Rajulji. I did read about that message from ma'am, and I wanted to answer it, but I had to wait for my turn. The whole point is the three language system Hindi is going to come in. The present government has carefully designed three things, saying local language, classical language, and this language. But if you go down south, in the foreign language, English is going to come in, local language will come in, and the third language they will bring in as Hindi, because south they may not go in for Sanskrit or things like that. If you look at Tamil Nadu, they will have Tamil as their local language. Then they have one more language to do. So what they have done is they are carefully designed so that there's no buddy coming and complaining that why should we learn a language which is not from our part of the country and things like that. So Hindi is going to come in out of one of these three languages, as it is 60% of the country has Hindi as the language which is common. The rest 40 will get onto that. So that should not be a problem, ma'am. Because the political structure and the opposition structure is such in a country, they will not lose any chance to come and start, throwing stones. So the government has very carefully brought this up and said three language system, and that is how Hindi will come in. That's what the calculation is. But it is all, we have to wait and watch how it goes about that. Hindi will not lose the importance. Okay. Coming on to the second question, will English lose its importance? I don't think so. I've already said kids can or children can acquire up to 5 languages, but any and every child should know at least minimum 3 languages. And in that, English is one. Understand that the world is becoming smaller day by day. In India, we are talking about, we are already the back office of the world. We're going to be the factory of the world. We are also going to be the, what you call as the service center of the world. So if we have to do all that, we have to communicate with everybody in the world. There's one language which binds everybody in the world, and that is English. So English will never lose its importance. Let me give you an example. If you have one line which is this much, and if there's another line, and if somebody wants to, become bigger than you, it's not that you cut them. Okay, you actually increase the length of your line. So English will be there, but you have to give importance, the due importance to our local languages. So language will not lose that. We are only saying, or NEP is only saying, is that during the early foundation years, so that the kids don't lose the fundamentals, which are very important, that should be taken up. But as I know parents, I have a lot of schools. In fact, we implement language labs. We are already training around 1 million students every year across the country. We've got more schools asking for this after the NEP was, announced and things like that. So I don't think that there's even the remotest possibility of English losing its importance. But I would want to add one point here onto the training part. Understand one thing, that the students or the kids of today are far more smarter than us. Teachers will not be able to cope up with the learning of what the kids know. So what needs to be done? You can't have a training and a second training and a third training. There has to be a continuous training. So teachers, on an average, I would say, should at least devote half an hour to 1 hour to go and do self-learning. The government has come up with a portal, and that portal is going to give everything, and the internet is there. Let them go ahead and do that. So learning has to be a continuous process. You can't say teacher training. Teacher training has to be on pedagogy, not on the knowledge of the subject. Pedagogy, they can get it. But what is important is to understand what to teach, how to teach. That can be done through self-learning and
Right.
certain seminars, which I think when you debate, you will learn more. So those sort of things can be done. And we can always do it online. I don't think that's going to be expensive. So this is something that the teaching community, and they already know how to use computers. So that is how we should do it. Learning cannot be a stopgap arrangement or an interval-based training. It has to be continuous.
Right, right. Thank you, sir. So it's more about a mindset challenge rather than the challenge with resources. So thank you, Jaswinder sir. I'll come back to you. Now I would request Michelle, if I may present the last question of the day to you. Michelle, you represent that art side of education. So how do you see the evolution of art education post NEP implementation?
So I believe children will, there'll be a lot of more options, as I said before. So even in current times, we have so many, careers in the field of music itself. It just needs to be highlighted and shown that these are the options also that you can pursue, whether it's music, even in arts, even in anything, in dance. In that case, there are things that we can pursue other than just performing. So arts really has since it's inculcated in the curriculum, arts really has a very good future, I can say, in that sense.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michelle. And I once again thank you all the key speakers for participating and making this 109 session truly special. But before we end the session, I would request all our speakers if we can have your concluding remarks. And we have also established one very interesting practice that while sharing your concluding remark, if you can also share, one idea, one thought that you would like to implement, if you get a chance to become Minister of Education. So I'll come to you randomly. We'll begin with Michelle. You only. So if we can have your concluding remark, and what would be your idea if you get a chance to become Minister of Education of our country?
Yes, I think the first thing would be, as I think one of the speakers mentioned, that in the urban, in the cities, it's easier to implement these. It's really in the rural areas that you need to go and check out that, these things are implemented. So all schools must be able to get this. So as an education minister, I would definitely look at that. And I would look at the execution to, go well, basically, because the policy is real good. That's why.
Thank you, Michelle. And now I would request Jaswinder sir. Sir, if I may ask you for your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education?
Okay. So getting on to my concluding remark is, again, since I come from the technology background, I would say the government, if they come up with, India has a rail tel. Okay, that's a telephone system or a network or an internet system for the railways. If we can somehow come up with an EduNet, which is a controlled content-based delivery system, which is made freely available to all teachers and students across the world. Second, instead of giving them books or subsidizing books, get them tablets and actually give them access. What we have seen this time will be taken care of, and pandemics are going to happen the way we've dealt with our own mother earth. So we should be prepared, and what we need to do is get into that. So my concluding remark would be that everything well done, great, but what they need to do is they need to make a channel to make all these flow to people who are the have-nots or who we cannot reach, or people in the far corner. So that's what I would say as a concluding remark. Everything can be done. One. Coming on to, if I were to be the Minister of Education, let me tell you again, I have previously also said that teachers form the most important part or the integral part of this policy. We need to see to it that we attract the best of talents. Best of talent will not come only by money. We need to give them their due importance. We need to recognize them. So I would say, or I would make teachers as the first-class citizens of the country. We need to respect them so that the right kind of people come in with choice, not as a a way out of that. I don't have any other profession. Let me become a teacher. A teacher should be teacher at heart. A teacher should teach with love and emotion. So that is there. I have also formed one more thing, and this is a request to all the fellow educationists, teachers, principals. I am actually on a mission, and my mission is to do something. So I'm going to present a sheet. Just a moment. Let me know if you are able to see the screen. Can you see this, everybody? Can you see this?
Yes, we can see that, sir.
Okay, so what I say is that, all doctors are recognized when they write a DR as a prefix, engineers as ER, and chartered accountants as CA. Why can't we recognize our fellow education, and why can't we write an ED as a prefix? Let the world know that I am an educator, and let I myself know that I am an educator. I better do my job. So if we are, given this thing, if we are able to let the world know that I am the person who is creating the citizen of tomorrow, the person or the children who are going to take up the country tomorrow, and I need to be recognized. And if I'm recognized, I'll do a better job. So if my humble request to all of you is that if I've taken this liberty without your permission, if we could have this written, this would do a great job. Please let all your teachers know that. And if you could all, as a request again, it is a humble request to all of you that if you all could use this as a prefix in front of your names and have that flow down in your school, let the teachers feel important, let the world know that we are there. And I think someday, because we can't expect everything to be done by the government, someday our teachers would be given the due respect that the gurukulas, the gurus had. We need to do that. So I seek your contribution or your support into that. Thank you so much, Rajulji, and thank you everybody for listening so patiently with me. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's an amazing mission, and I know that you have been doing it so passionately. Thank you, Jaswinder sir, for sharing those thoughts. Now I would request Dr. Puneet Goswami ji. Puneet ji, if we can have your concluding remark, and
Yes,
what would be
please.
your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education?
Yeah. First of all, I was feeling very amazed after listening to Jaswinder Singh ji regarding this. Just we must have a suffix as a ED, and I think this must be done. As educationists, we must be proud on ourselves that we are educationists first, rather than the teacher, rather than any other profession. Now, apart from that, what I always say is national education policy. To me, it comes out as a student opportunity system. This is an opportunity for a student, and we all are the enablers, faculty, staff, teachers, and we have to ensure that we are disseminating the right skill set to the students. We are debating on various platforms on these issues, and now the right time is just to focus on those vital points, ensure that we are just doing our fundamental duty correctly, efficiently, and ensuring that we are preparing ourselves first and delivering them to our students. Then only this nation can we can build this nation. And your one question that if I will become this minister, already lot of answers we have got. So one my answer on this is, I would personally feel we must have a e-learning management system, ELMS, for all our students worldwide the country, where they are not depriving of getting the education from particular esteemed institutions. Even in our higher education system, I am expecting if my student want to look into the lectures of the university professors of IIT Bombay, Kharagpur, Roorkee, they must be able to go through that platform. What is the why they cannot? If we have all these platforms available, online learning platforms, so why we cannot connect our students to those directly? If they want to learn a new technology, there are a number of facilities, there are a number of softwares that are available, which private institutions they cannot afford currently. So these basically will be these generation, the student generation is the backbone of our country. We need to train them. So why not to give the platform to all the students? If government is spending the same amount on IITs just to equip them with those skills, why the same cannot be transferred? Because no extra amount is to be there. It is a private institution that will buy that particular ELMS. They will connect their students with them, and they have to just connect them to that so that the knowledge can be disseminated to all those private institutions. So this is one of the practice, if that can be adopted in our country. So no student, because we have found that even in the rural areas, the students have good potential. They can do wonders. The only thing is they are not able to get the right teachers or the trainers to them. So if this
Right.
facility is available, we can come out with the more focused approach where our students all over the country will get equal, because our country's this constitution say right
Right.
to
Right.
education. Yeah. So we are looking for that. So this thing which I would
Absolutely.
like to
Absolutely.
have. Thank you.
Wonderful. It's a wonderful idea. Thank you, Dr. Goswami, for that. Now I would request Mr. Abhishek Srivastava ji, Abhishek ji, if we can have your concluding remark, and what would be your idea and thought that you would like to implement if you get a chance to become a union education minister.
Raju ji, first of all, I would like to correct you. My name is Educator Abhishek Srivastava. Thank you, Jaswinder Singh ji. Thank you so much. That was indeed a brilliant thing which has happened and which I have learned from this webinar. I would like to thank Raju ji also for being here with us, and he was, more or less, I would say he was like a mentor for everyone. He was not only helping us with a lot of things, but also making us. Now, see, as per the concluding remark, as well as the question what you have asked, let's say if I become the education minister, my answers are same for both the things. I mean, my remark is also same, and being a education minister also, I would like to do the same thing. I would like to amalgamate the concept of back to the basic as well as the modern age technology. I'm saying back to basic, it means things which were there in earlier education system of ours. I'm talking about way back that we know a lot of things about the agriculture, and people are into this field. I was reading an article related to aquaponics somewhere some day before yesterday, and this technology is related to agriculture department where people are being given, they can raise tree or plant vegetable plants or fruits on not on soil but on the water. So this is the advancement of technology which I've seen, which has changed life, and which is going to be need of our in recent times, when because the area of Earth is going to be same, and as in the population is going to be increasing day by day. So for me, back to the basic and the amalgamation with the technology is very much important. And I hope that this synchronization of these two things are together going to do some magic for us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. We all agree with you, educator Abhishek Srivastava ji. That needs to be applied. Thank you, for that thought. Now I would
Thank you.
request Nenwal sir, if I may ask for your concluding remark, and what would be your idea if you get a chance to become
To become
education
a
minister of our country?
education minister of India.
Ji sir.
So, if by virtue of quality or by grace of God, if I get the chance to be the education minister of a country, so it may not be a night dream, it may come true sometime. So I'll bring 3-4 changes in the system. Number one, in an early age, I'll try to develop a curriculum of framework for kids where they have everlasting love for nature, and they know how to nurture the relationships with their parents, teachers, and fellow friends or fellow beings. There have to be such curriculum. Indeed, it is a need of the time, need of the hour. Why I'm saying so? Because everybody loves to live in isolation these days. Small children even love to go in isolation. So we need to bring them together and bring them in a family, the way our ancestors used to live, where they used to share their woes and worries with each other, and they used to reduce themselves from pressures or the tension and traumas. I think these days, more or less, everybody is having some or other kind of mental afflictions. So there has to be such curriculum. Number two, if I would become education minister, the NEP which has been developed or which has been furnished, instead of implementing it at once together, I should have implemented in stages, so that if we start it in stages, this can be more fruitful and more biased. This is what I feel.
Right.
Second thing, I should also believe in imparting education under three points. Number one, to be, to do, and to have. Because normally human beings have tendency that they want, but they do not believe whether they deserve to it or not. To be means, if we want to acquire something, attain something, whether I am capable, the first belief to be. Then, in order to gain something, we have to act, karma, which has been advocated by Lord Krishna in Gita. Then we should believe in kam. And when we believe in to be good, we believe in doing good, I think thing will come to us in a better way, and we will have better things in our life. And third and fourth thing which I wanted to implement, that I should develop a certification for schools which produce a quality human beings in both aspects. Like they have learned how to be a good human being, and at the same time they should be very good or skillful persons, so that they can make their living worthwhile and they also maintain their quality of life. This is what I should try to implement. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So these all are very strong ideas and thoughts, and also so we hope that someday you get a chance to implement these ideas as education minister. Thank you, sir. Now I would request Shanila ma'am, ma'am, we would like to conclude the session with your remarks. If I may ask you for your concluding remarks, and what would be your idea and priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education?
So technology is the way forward, and a lot has been said in the NEP 2020. So I feel that it should be easily accessible. That means we should not only upskill the teachers and train them to use technology and be comfortable with it. It has to be seamlessly integrated in the day and have your workshops as an ongoing thing. It should not be something that just happens once in a while, but integrated, because at this point of time everyone did go online, and a lot has been learned by teachers even on their own through trial and error. So it shouldn't stop. And I think one of our esteemed panelists also was saying something along the same lines, that it should not stop now, it should continue. And likewise for children too need that availability of technology has to happen, because all are not so fortunate. So different kinds of institutions need to come up, and we can all collaborate so that everyone has easily they have the access to technology. Because unless they handle it, they will not be able to use it, and then it will just remain as a pipe dream. So this needs to be done. And as far as me, what I would like to see, if I become a minister, which minister did you say, sir? Union
Education Minister.
Education minister.
Education
Okay.
is a must, and you can take some additional charge, like whichever ministry you want.
Yes. So, okay, it would be definitely for the children with special needs, because the NEP has paved the way to include them, inclusive education. But then they are labeled, they're labeled so much. And that is something where we need to spread awareness, educate people, and say that today I may not be a good dancer. So nobody says that you are. They just say, okay, keep practicing and you will be able to dance. For example, if there is some kind of thing, nobody says that you are challenged or you have a, you're a challenged dancer. But the same thing comes up with these labels in education, and we do it in class too, consciously, unconsciously. So awareness at all levels, include children into the mainstream education, and provide livelihood for them. give them equal opportunities at work. So this is what I would love to see in the future, and I hope I would be able to see that. So thank you
Absolutely.
very
We also hope for the same, ma'am. Thank you, Shanila, ma'am, for sharing that so important remark. And I again thank you all, for participating. Shanila, ma'am, Bindu, ma'am, Nenwal, sir, Abhishek, sir, Puneet, sir, Jaswinder, sir, Michelle, for joining and making this 109 session truly special. I also welcome, thank all the participants, Homi, ma'am, and other participants for joining and making this session truly special. So we will end the session here. Thank you all.
Thank you, Rajul ji, for this inviting.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you everyone.